Welcome back to Serie A Spotlight. We're your hosts Jake and Matt.
You know what time it is?
Jake and I will have a very special soft spot for Salernitana.
We love
now.
This might be bad.
But your group has really some characters in it, no?
Ora naħseb.
Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Serie A Spotlight. This is episode 222 and we're your hosts Jake
And Matt.
and we are sad and we're going to talk about the final match day of Serie A.
I, for one, am maintaining neutrality because we are a neutral Serie A podcast. If you're new here, we are a neutral Serie A podcast, but
I haven't been happy since Saturday.
I haven't been happy in a long time.
Yeah.
Saturday had the opportunity to change that, but it didn't. Let me give you a small rundown of what happened. History has been made as Como have achieved Champions League football for the first time in the club's history. Roma joined them, finishing third and achieving Champions League football for the first time since 2018. History has also been made for two of the three of Italy's big three, as it is the first time since 1992-1993 that both Milan and Juve didn't qualify for the Champions League. Cremonese getting trashed by a Como on a mission and Lecce achieving their second win in a row means that Cremonese are back down to Serie B after a solitary season, as the Giallorossi get to enjoy their fourth year in a row in Serie A and Eusebio Di Francesco avoids back-to-back-to-back relegations. What a final day. If you guys are anything like us, you had 5-6 screens in front of you. You had one that was being wasted because the mole was delayed by an hour.
Exactly. One with just a note on it while it was filming random fans for way too long, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna do, you know? That probably really screws over the service provider. Because, of course, they have things planned after that and they'll go over schedule.
That's true.
That's not what I'm here to talk about. Let me read to you the table. So the season's officially over. What a season it's been. Very exciting all around. Obviously, a lot can be said about the quality, but when it comes to Serie A, there's little you can always say about the actual competition. It's so competitive all year. The battle for top four, the relegation battle, it always goes down until the very, very last second. And this season was no different. So we obviously, the top four, we have Inter, champions, congratulations. Napoli in second, Roma and Como achieving top four in third and fourth. Milan and Juve in 5th and 6th achieving Europa League. Atalanta in 7th getting Conference League. Bologna, Lazio and Udinese in 8th, 9th and 10th. For the bottom 10, and then we have Sassuolo, Torino, Parma, Cagliari, Fiorentina, Genoa, Lecce, and relegated teams will be Cremonese, Verona and Pisa. The teams coming up, which is an episode we will have in 2 weeks' time where we go through the promotion playoffs. Those will be, so we already have two teams confirmed coming up, which are Venezia and Frosinone, and at this stage there is on Friday there's the second leg of the playoff final, and that is between Catanzaro and Monza, and Monza did win the first leg away from home with the score of 2-0, so it does look like, even though the playoffs are very crazy, it does look like Monza have one hand on that title.
Indeed, and the goals were scored from Hernani and Caso for Monza, who have maintained some very familiar names in their team. They've got Dani Mota still there, he's been there for ages. Cutrone's there, Azzi's there, the left back that used to play for Cagliari. They've got Pessina in the middle, Carboni at the back, Birindelli's still there.
Our boy
Petania's there and actually doing really well. Yeah, and they're coached by Paolo Bianco, interestingly enough. And Catanzaro, by the way, are coached by the great Alberto Aquilani.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, so a lot more of that to come in the episode we'll have covering Serie B and the newly promoted teams. Goal of the week for this week, it was quite straightforward. Federico De Marco for his free kick in the 3-3 thriller against Bologna, just to, add to the celebrations. You score a free kick like that. after being awarded the MVP, you know, is just a cherry on top of the cake, man.
It was a really good free kick, and I'm pretty sure right now the neutral has grown tired of DeMarco. You know, just seeing him every single, not the neutral actually, the rival. The neutral will really enjoy him. He has had a phenomenal season, and this was just a perfect way to end it, right?
Totally, man. Totally.
My goal of the week is different. I did go for Dele Bashiru's goal of the week because Belayan had a really nice dribble before laying off the ball to Dele Bashiru, who kind of did this
scoop turn, baby.
The scoop turn, exactly, before placing it into the bottom corner. I really enjoyed that goal. I thought it was great. Honorable mentions, of course, to Vlahovic, who had a very nice team goal.
Yeah.
Banda had a great goal, very important goal to keep Lecce alive. The others have escaped me right now. I had a list, but it is not in front of me right now. But to be honest, nothing spectacular.
No.
Yeah.
That pretty much seals it.
Yeah.
Make sure to stay till the end of this episode, guys, for our patron segment. So there will be no patron corner this episode. However, we will be reacting to our predictions that we made at the very, very start of the season, before the season even kicked off, before the transfer window even closed. We made our predictions from first all the way down to 20th. So we haven't had a look back at it yet, so you'll be able to see our live reactions to that. Our producer Tyson, shout out Big Tyson, baby.
Big Tyson. Tyson, give us a scream.
He's shy. He's shy. But yeah, so he's like that guy from The Office. Someone tells him hi, and then they're halfway through their sentence, he just goes hi.
What's his name?
I forgot his name. So yeah, we'll be reacting to our own predictions. We have Fantasy League updates, and I'm just going to tell you right now because we have an official winner. And the winner is Alan. Massive congratulations to Alan for winning a very, very tough season of fantasy football. Our first proper edition, our second edition of this, obviously. Shout out goes to last season's winner as well. Remind me, his name escapes me right now.
Last season's winner was Joey D.
Joey D in a place to be, hip hop mixed with R&B. But this season it was Alan, and Alan wants a Milan home kit of Gabbia. And you know what, Alan? I completely agree. Who else are you going to get from the Milan team from this season?
A bit of a weird one, this season. Maybe Pavlovic would have been a shout.
Maybe.
Modric is always a timeless one, you know what I mean? A Modric Milan kit is quite nice.
You know.
But Gabbia, to be honest, embodies what it means to be
a Rosso Nero.
Yeah.
Guys, massive shout out to our media partners Benevo Bid. Check out the link in our bio to bid on autographed items from top players, including match issued kits. If you check out their socials, you can also find real footage of the players signing off the merch in case you are a skeptic. Most of the proceeds go to charity, so click the link in our bio, help make a difference and upgrade your collection. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter and YouTube, and rate us 5 stars on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. This is absolutely invaluable to us as we continue to grow our show. We are heading into a tough summer period content-wise. So yeah, even though there is the World Cup and we do have a few exciting things up our sleeve, but the more love you show us over there, obviously we will very much appreciate it. And if you really love us and want early access, live episodes, become a patron. It's $3.99 a month, and you'll also be added to a group chat with 50 plus like-minded legends, join our fantasy league, and even win a free kit of your choice for winning the league. You'll also get the chance to feature on our Patreon Corner segment throughout our episode, where you can have your say live on the show.
Daniel made a good point. We're underselling it. It's 70 plus. We should start saying 70 plus.
What the hell?
Yeah.
We're just using the same old metrics.
50,
70 plus
like-minded patrons.
Okay, maybe 50 plus like-minded legends, 70 plus legends. Alright? They're not all like-minded. You know, we've got some characters in there that are like, where the hell did this person come from?
At the end of the day, bro, we're all the same. All of us. Everyone here is the same. Everyone. Sorry, I'm just going through it since I haven't been the same since Sunday, man.
Been the same. I'm seeing you in black. You haven't worn black.
I'm telling you, man.
Since, you know. But before we get into all of the action and what happened on the final day of Serie A this season, let's react a bit to the, what do you even call them?
The awards.
The awards.
Yeah, the awards. So the awards were interesting. I think I remember them actually. We don't need it. It was Zvelar who won the goalkeeper of the season. What do you think of? Shall we just list them? There was the best defender went to Palestra.
Totally.
Best midfielder went to Nico Paz. Striker Lautaro Martinez. MVP Di Marco.
And rising star was Kenan Yildiz.
Exactly. Yeah.
So for best goalkeeper, Miles Villar. Nothing against Villar. He had a very good season. He's actually gone back to back for best goalkeeper in the season. For me, the best goalkeeper was Carnesecchi this season.
I mean, to be honest, man, you could make a shout for Carnesecchi, Villar, and Magnan. I mean, you could make a case for all three of those goalkeepers. I think what really separates them at this point is Villar ended up getting Champions League, right? And maybe that's a criteria that maybe gives him the advantage. Because in my opinion, yes, Carnesecchi on the pitch was slightly better.
I think Carnesecchi and Magnan have a better penalty record. Maybe they faced more penalties as well. I thought Carnesecchi was, when it came to pivotal performances, I think that Carnesecchi had the most common of those. He's just, at times, he's completely impenetrable, and he just covers the entire net when he's in goal. Mike, shout out to Big Mike, because he had some games where, Milan with a slender 1-0 victory, where Mike would walk away as man of the match and he would have won Milan that match. But for me, it was Carnesecchi. This was also his best season yet, Carnesecchi, so I do think that he deserved it. What do you think of best defender going to Palestra, man?
I mean, it's fair enough. I mean, with a pinch of salt, right? I think that award is more like to kind of distract people from the lack of Italian talent and the fact that there's this one exciting Italian fullback who had a very good season. Don't get me wrong, he had a great season and he was extremely important for Cagliari and their survival. And as Pisacane put it correctly, he said he's like a FIFA player with just 99 pace. You know what I mean? Like, because you put this guy on and he is unstoppable when he's in full flow. But I think when it comes to actual like center backs or MVP defenders, I think, for example, you could give Indica a shout. You could give Mancini a shout, sure. We will go through our tops, flops, and unsung heroes in the next episode, and that would be absolutely great.
And our Serie A starting 11, our best 11. I think Palestra, this decision is, as you said, I think it's a cop-out. I think, firstly, rising star, best defender, and best midfielder are all interchangeable because they've just gone for young, kind of exciting players. I think Indica was the best centre back this season in the league, and I don't think there's much of a debate to be had over there. I think, and as well, if you're going to give it to someone according to maybe if you're giving it to a wing back, you could give it to the MVP, Federico Di Marco. You could give it to Alexis Salemaker, so had the most dribbles completed out of all the players in Serie A.
That would be bizarre.
Sure. But I just felt this was a bit of a cop-out. They used the opportunity to highlight young Italian talent and to kind of put them on a pedestal, considering this whole situation that there are no good young Italian players. There's that whole
Ramon is a shout of Como as well for Defender of the Year, maybe. He had a very good season, both defensively and offensively, because he's often the solution as well up front.
Best midfielder, Nico Paz.
Oh, that's a no-brainer. I mean, he was... Honestly, how many midfielders made you feel the way that Paz felt when watching him?
No one.
No one, right? I mean, and we have some fantastic midfielders in the league. There's Thuram at Juve, there's Modric at Milan, you know what I mean? But Nico Paz was simply sensational.
He was. And his numbers are ridiculous as well. I believe it was, 13 goals, 8 assists. This one, the second I saw his name, at first I doubted it because I was like, oh, they just went for someone young and exciting and whatever. But actually, I think it's bang on.
It was 12 goals, 6 assists.
12 goals, 6 assists. Probably with Coppa or whatever, he had those numbers.
Yeah, could be.
So yeah, Nico Paz is totally agreed. He's the best midfielder in the league by some distance this season, in my opinion. Best striker Lautaro Martinez. I get it. He's a capocannoniere, even though he spent a lot of the season out injured. I'd give it to Daniel Malen personally.
That's weird. I mean, Malen had only half a season, and you could almost guarantee that if he had the full one, he would have won it, because he is the reason that that Roma got Champions League. And I would say that he was the deciding factor, and I'll say that confidently. You know how usually there are many different factors to blah blah blah, but Malen was the main reason Roma made Champions League. He changed their season around so much, even psychologically on the pitch, and psychologically, man, they have this monster up front. You just feed him, you know. He gave them a solution. I think Lautaro had more phases of poor form. Obviously, he didn't have this, Malen, at all.
Not at
the
all.
problem is he had half a season, so I understand the logic of giving it to Lautaro.
If we're to find out how many games Lautaro played this season versus Malen, I genuinely don't think there'll be that huge a discrepancy.
Yeah, I'll pull up Malen.
Okay, and I'll pull up Lautaro.
So we've got Malen, who played 18 games in Serie A. And he scored 14 goals and got 2 assists.
Well, Lautaro has played 30, but he scored 17 and assisted 6 in that process. I would give it to Daniel Malen, man.
Probably, right?
I think he's the best striker in the league. Hands down.
Yeah.
Hands down, with the little talent that there is up front in Italy. When it comes to the MVP, it's Federico Di Marco. We've said a number of times that is who we would go for. You break the assist record, you get 18 assists, and you also get a bunch of goals as a wing-back, especially after, you know, people doubted him a bit last season, saying fitness issues, saying he doesn't have 90 minutes in him, saying, you know, he shouldn't start certain games where the team is, you know, more attacking. Inter won't be able to play Kivu's system with him because they play a high line and he can't track back much. And he just simply shut everyone the fuck up, man.
Yeah. It's true. And I, of course, Lautaro, take nothing away from him. Of course, he was the top scorer, and he did carry Inter at times, of course. But Malen, what he did was absolutely unbelievable. Guess who the top scoring Italian player was this season, bro? There are 3 of them tied at the top, and they've all scored 10 goals.
God, you're putting me on the spot here. Italian players. Okay. I'm starting to narrow them down. God. Luca.
For some reason, when you're asked a question on the spot, everything just blanks out. If you want, I can just tell you.
Italian. How many goals each do they have?
So they all have 10 goals.
They all have 10 goals.
Yeah.
Such a pretty good, huh?
I mean... I can just give them to you.
Give them to me.
So we have Bonazzoli on 10 goals, Scamacca on 10 goals, and Orsolini on 10 goals. These are the top scoring Italian players. And there's Pinamonti on 9, Berardi and Keane on 8, and then Di Marco, Esposito, and Mandragora all on 7. So there's a bit of a drought when it comes to Italian top scorers. Last season, of course, we had Retegui, who scored 25. Then the 2 seasons before that, there were Scamacca and Berardi, who scored 12. And then before that, obviously, there was Ciro Immobile, who scored 27. The season before that, 20. The season before that, 36. And then the season before that, Quagliarella on 26. And then Immobile on 29. Yes, we need an Italian bomber and the league.
We need an Italian bomber, and we simply need more bombers, because it's hilarious. The top scorer in Italy scored 17 goals. We all knew it when Retegui left. We were like, okay, that was the last one. But, you know, Moise Kean had a flop season. He should definitely be in that list. He should be destroying everyone on that list. But that's a conversation for another day, perhaps for next week.
Yeah.
Brother, let's talk about the last day of the season. So just to paint the picture, again, naturally going into this, Milan and Roma were level on points in 3rd and 4th respectively. Milan with a better head-to-head. They were each on 70 points, 2 points behind them. Tied in 5th and 6th were Como and Juve respectively. Como with the better head-to-head over there. There was the whole thing that if they all end up on the same points, and a mini league will be formed of the direct encounters between them, which this would only happen if more than 2 teams were tied on points, so if 3 or 4 teams were tied on points. And in that scenario, Como were actually 1st, Milan were 2nd, Juve were 3rd, and Roma were 4th. But what ended up happening As I already said that in the intro, but naturally we all know Roma and Como have got in Champions League football. Milan and Juve missed out, of course. Milan losing to Cagliari at home, Juve drawing to Torino away, Roma beating Hellas Verona, and Como destroying Cremonese. Let's start with the first game, bro, that we have to cover, which I believe is yours, and it is Milan 1, Cagliari 2.
Yes, exactly. And going into this game, of course, Allegri only made one change from the Genoa win. This was Salamakers for Atekame on the right. So that means that Leao and Pulisic were on the bench again, while Nkunku and Jimenez started. In fact, I can read the whole lineup. It's Manyan in goal with Pavlovic, Gabi and Tomori at the back. Bartezaghi on the left, Salamakers on the right with Rabiot, Yashari and Fofana in the middle, Nkunku and Jimenez up top. As for Cagliari, it was Caprile in goal with Zé Pedro at the back, Mina and Rodriguez, Zappa on the right, Obert on the left, with Deola, Gaetano and Adopo in the middle, and Borelli and Esposito up front. So yes, I think this would be considered as one of the most dramatic collapses in final day history, potentially, bro, in Serie A. Milan led just after 100 seconds in this game through Salamakers. So it was a perfect nerveless start for a team that literally needed to win, and it took a lot of pressure off. And at that moment, I think, as a Milan fan, I can say I was pretty confident that we were gonna go through with it. In fact, Cagliari, they were already safe. They didn't really have anything to play for. So if you push them and keep piling on the pressure, you can easily demoralize them. However, Milan decided to sit back from the 100th second and try to maintain the victory, the 1-0 lead. So it was Borelli who equalized in the 20th minute after Yeremina headed down a corner, and the striker reacted the quickest. But then it was Milan who had quite a few chances, and they missed them. In fact, it was Nkunku who prodded straight at Caprile. Jimenez hit wide from Rabiot's cutback. Fofana obviously headed over. And then news arrived from Cremona and Verona that Como and Roma were both winning. So the pressure started to pile because Milan needed to score. Cagliari went ahead in the 57th minute when Manyan saved Borelli's effort, but Rodriguez reacted to get the header in on the rebound, and then Milan decided to obviously try to throw everything at Cagliari. Pulisic and Atekame came on, Leao came on, Fulkrug actually came on before Leao. And when I say they threw everything at Cagliari, it was they threw everything but very slowly.
Yep.
Yeah, and lethargically.
In fact, just looking at the statistics, Milan's expected goals were 1.57, Cagliari's were 2.65. Milan had 3 big chances, Cagliari had 4. Milan had 16 shots, Cagliari had 25. Manyan made 9 saves in this game, and Caprile made 2.
There was a shocking level of nonchalance, particularly when I think it was Rabiot at one point. He miscontrolled the ball because he was complaining and he saw it late, and then all of a sudden Mendy is through one-on-one and he's got all the time in the world. He could have sat down and rolled a cigarette and smoked it, bro. He had so much time. Thankfully Manyan was sharp and he came out and made the goal really small and gave Mendy less time to actually think and to be comfortable, and he forced the youngster into a weak finish essentially, and he saved it really well. Manyan was excellent. This game Manyan was the only one worthy of the shirt.
Yep.
Yes. And bro, I mean, I think we can start immediately from our reaction to the...
Give us the breaking news first and foremost, bro.
The breaking news is that Allegri has been sacked along with every single director apart from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. So far for all we know. As it stands right now, it's Ibrahimovic and Calvelli who will decide who the new sporting director and the new CEO are, respectively. So they're not going to decide together, by the way. Ibra's picking the sporting director and Calvelli is picking the new the CEO, which to me is a little bit strange. Like, aren't you part of the same team? Shouldn't these things be aligned? Why do we have all this... Why is this divide still present after you've sacked everyone? You know what I mean? Like, I remember one of the reasons why Maldini was sacked was because he wasn't good for the unity of the management, because he would oppose them off. And like, you're out here employing people separately. Yeah. Like, it should be company policy that decisions are made together. But anyway. So yes, Furlani, Allegri, Tare, and Moncada are all gone.
Bye.
Bye. Yes, and
Bye-bye.
now I have been a defender of Allegri. In fact, on the group chat, I'm getting a lot of shit.
You get a lot of shit, not because you defended him, but it's because you won't stop defending him.
I won't stop. As in, now the objective hasn't been reached, and I understand the sacking. Am I disappointed? I have liked to continue, yes, but at the end of the day, you failed to reach the minimum objective. And I thought it was extremely tongue-in-cheek throughout the season when Allegri was saying that top 4 is Milan's priority when there was a potential title charge in sight, but turns out it was the main objective, and turns out it wasn't that straightforward to begin with. But I do put more of the blame than most people do on the team than on the manager. And obviously on the top, because this team was not set up for victory. And certain gaps, because I was reflecting on the season, certain gaps that weren't clear to see from the start of the season started to become more evident as time went on. For example, the fact that there was no veteran defender at the back, there was no Bremer type, there was no anchor who can hold that back three together. That was missing. In fact, the defense was reinforced with more inexperience because Chow was replaced with De Winter. This we mentioned. But for example, the left wing back position wasn't talked about because Bartesaghi had a great start to the season. However, Bartesaghi looked more and more like a youngster as the pressure started to pile up, and that's natural, right? And that's why he shouldn't have been the starter from the get-go. Exactly. It should have been a regular, reliable left wing back, and then Bartesaghi as the understudy. But that wasn't the case. The starter was Bartesaghi, who kind of faded out towards the end of the season and looked less and less effective, and Estupinian being the unreliable left wing back that he has always been. And then you look at the front two, obviously the gaps that are left over there. They were always clear from the get-go, to be honest with you. But that's it. You went into the season without a reliable centre-back that can hold the defence together, without a striker that's going to score you the goals, and without a left wing-back who's going to connect the defence to the attack. So he was set up like this. He had a 19-man squad, plus injuries all around. And I did not like the approach one bit this game, though, it has to be said. I'm all for playing pragmatically, but honestly just inviting all the pressure and allowing Cagliari to find their rhythm. We know that Cagliari can play. We've seen Cagliari play this season. And we've seen the goals that they've scored, man. Last season, they scored a Puskas goal. You know what I mean? They can play, man. These guys can move the ball around. And when you automatically 10 minutes into the game, not even 10 minutes, man, go back into a mid-block and not press at all. So you're inviting all this pressure, you're giving them time on the ball, you're letting them grow into the game, you're letting them become comfortable with the ball. And it's not like Milan this season have been defending completely cleanly, especially as of late, man. Milan you should play with the knowledge of we're going to concede. That's it. Because when it comes to set pieces, when it comes to defending crosses and things, Milan have been very shaky nowadays.
Dude, where was the urgency from Milan in this game? Okay, we can talk about how the team was set up and the structure that they used, a defense-first approach in a must-win game, how they went ultra defensive, to put it plainly, after scoring in the first 2 minutes of the game. But where was the grinta, in the sense that, so you go to 1 down in the, 57th minute? Yeah, you go to 1 down in the 57th minute. You're in the San Siro. Okay, the fans weren't incredible in the San Siro. They were a bit...
They booed at halftime at 1-1.
They booed at halftime. Maybe the players needed some more support. But you don't just bank on the fans to give your 100% for the shirt. Brother, you're playing for Milan. How wasn't Manyan up for corners at the end of the game? How weren't players heaving at the final whistle? How didn't we have players cut and bruised from giving their 100% on the last game of the season, where it turns out all Milan needed was 1 point? Had they gotten the equalizer, obviously, probably the Juve game would have gone differently because of the delay and whatever. Yeah. But it turns out all Milan needed was 1 point. They didn't know that, you were going to win or draw or lose that game. So go till the end. Till the end. There was, to me, a significant lack of effort in this team, not only in this game, but it just accentuates it because it's the last game of the season. So it's pretty much a bloody final. It's definitely the closest thing Milan would have had to a final this season. And it's just indicative of the entire season that Milan had. So under Allegri, this is what I told you before we started recording. If I had to tell you there was a football team, right, who had 2 stages of the season, that the first half and the second half. They went flawless in the first half of the season and they couldn't get anything right in the second half of the season. What would you say? You'd say this team got figured out, right? And then a step further than that, you'd also see, at least in the case of Milan, that the players were not motivated. These are, in my eyes, a certain guarantee. If you are going to concede attractive football, if you're going to concede selling tickets and playing a gorgeous attacking brand of football, then these are certain guarantees that you should have. You should not be getting figured out on match day 20. You know, and you should not be throwing away games against the bottom half of the season. And you should definitely, bare minimum, do not lose the bloody dressing room. Now, I know Milan have particular tough players, you know. They've got Leao, who, unless it was purely, he's waving his head around like he doesn't want to play a single
we've seen
minute
him.
of
We've seen him
football.
do that for 3 managers now, man.
You know,
Bro, it's. I agree with what you're saying in essence, but I wouldn't put most of it on Milan getting figured out. Because there isn't much to figure out. There wasn't much to figure out to begin with,
What do you
man.
mean?
Like defensively, Milan were compact and they were sound. When it comes to the offensive stage, it was mostly individual ideas that would get Milan the goals. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't. It's not like Milan had a playbook and that playbook became obvious. I think what happened was, bro, the thin squad with 19 men only ended up costing Milan a lot, and really early on, because the injuries piled up. And mental fatigue, and this is what I was telling you beforehand, that this team is most definitely mentally fragile. Most definitely. And I would bet money on it, because you don't go from having at one point the best defense in Europe's top 5 leagues, to fucking, you can't stop conceding. You conceding 3 to Udinese, 2 to Sassuolo, you know what I mean? It's just mental fragility that when the pressure started piling, these guys started to hide on the pitch. No one wanted the responsibility of playing, you know? And then you have the polar opposite of that. You have the guys who are scared, like Nkunku and Jimenez, they don't want the ball. And then you have the guys like Rabiot and Leao, who, while everyone around them is scared, they're shooting from long distance, trying to, you know what I mean? There was no cohesion. There was...
But one doesn't cancel out the other. So what you're saying is completely right. But Milan did get figured out. It's not like, no, there's nothing to figure out about Milan. There absolutely is. There's the fact that Milan struggle with passages of play. You go low block, don't give them space to operate. You know, they're not scoring from outside the box. I think it was just Rabiot once upon a time that unleashed from distance and fucking scored.
Yeah, and that was one of the main ideas, funnily enough.
Exactly. And the fact that Milan didn't essentially defend well individually, but they defended in numbers. You look at the game against Inter, how Milan weren't conceding when they were playing ping pong outside of Milan's box from side to side. Inter, it's because Milan had 10 players behind the ball, because they give a... It's the same as
but
last
10
season.
confident players behind the ball.
Yes, but it's the exact same thing. I don't think Milan mentally improved from last season to this season, because last season under Fonseca and Conceição, it was the same thing. They beat the top teams, bro. They beat Inter. They beat Real Madrid. They beat them. They beat those. They beat all the big ones. In the Champions League, they went on a mental run.
Absolutely. They beat the big teams when there wasn't much at stake. So, for example...
exact same as the season.
Exactly,
same
bro. Because and this is what we were discussing before, bro. 3 seasons now that whenever Milan have to win a game to cut the deficit from the team above them, that is a guaranteed draw or loss.
Exactly. Milan wouldn't have won the league that season if Radu wouldn't have fucking passed it back into his own net. You know what I mean? They need a gift in order to overtake the team above them, man. Too mentally weak, man. Too mentally weak season after season, man.
Yeah, and I can't believe he didn't start Modric, to be honest. I can't believe he didn't start Modric.
Modric came on at 40 years old. Okay, the guy is class for 40 years old, but wearing a face mask because he has a broken face. When I saw that happening, like, okay, I was glad Modric was coming on, but just the sight of a 40-year-old Modric needing to come on with a broken face to try save Milan a
But
point
of course,
at home to
of course,
Cagliari.
of course, he has
A
to
point
come on,
at
bro.
home to Cagliari.
He's the starter. He's the best player on the pitch, on the team. Of course, he has to start. And I'm surprised that Allegri didn't start him. To be honest
but
with
it
you, man.
shouldn't be the case.
It shouldn't. I mean, it shouldn't be the case. But this is the team they built. That the best signing is a fucking 40-year-old.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, not just any 40-year-old. He's incredible, and I respect him. And
friggin' Mod.
I love him to the moon and back.
Yeah,
but
he won't be staying on.
he won't be
Milan.
staying because they sacked Allegri, and he's upset about that because he respects Allegri.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about this? Of course, second season in a row,
Yeah.
Milan don't make Champions League. We had high hopes for them this season.
Milan were only outside of the top 4 on Matchday 1 and Matchday 38 this season. Como were only above Milan on Matchday 38 this season. I mean, we can keep doing this, to be honest. No, that's fine. I think going forward, bro. Actually, we'll save this for another day. The discussion going forward. I'm down to talk about it now, to be honest.
I mean, there are names for managers.
Yeah, because there's the guy whose name sounds like Areola of Bournemouth.
Iraola.
Yeah.
But there, it's good because Milan seem to be acting quick. They seem to be hiring a manager before they even hire a sporting director or a CEO, which is very interesting.
Which makes you think that maybe there's something agreed already with someone, right?
Yes, and the names being mentioned are names that fill me with confidence. They are. Because they are people, they are managers that play football. Here we go again, sure, bro. But these are managers that play football. There's Iraola, who took a relegation-threatened Bournemouth to 6th place, promoted Rayo Vallecano, and then got to the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey. And he has a team that just plays an incredible brand of balanced football that really brings the best out of wingers. I mean, look what he did with Semenyo. Look what he did with the Brazilian guy. His name escapes me right now. But this is the kind of guy that can bring the best out of someone like Rafael Leao because they actually play to his style. And then there's the name of Unai Emery, who apparently is untouchable. However, there's the name of Xavi, who I think Xavi is very underrated considering that he won the league with Barca when Barca were financially distraught and hadn't signed players that season. I thought it was very impressive that he beat Real Madrid to the title. There's also the name of Oliver Glasner, who won the FA Cup with Crystal Palace last season and is in the final of the Conference League this season. And then put those Prem heads aside, you've got Palladino in this league. And then you've got Grosso, who's probably looking for a job as well. You've got Motta, who still isn't in a job. And these are, sure, they're not completely proven managers at the top end of Serie A. None of them are, out of the ones that we mentioned, but I think they could do something at Milan with a positive brand of football and actually empowering Milan to play football and not castrating them, you know?
But this is where I disagree with you, because I think that they can be successful at Milan, but I think the environment simply won't allow them to do so.
But it is going to be a new environment. The CEO has been sacked.
Bro, at the end of the day, it's Cardinale at the top who only wants one thing. He wants regular Champions League qualification for that revenue.
Oh no.
Yes. But if you want a long-term project, do you think Gasperini with Atalanta, for example, started off simply by just getting them top 4 in his first season?
Okay, so now I know what you're
know
saying.
what I
so
mean?
You're saying
I'm
because
saying he's
the
not
new,
going
the
to give
new
them.
manager has, unless he gets top 4, he's out.
And if during the season it looks like he's not going to get top 4, he's out within a few months. If 4 months into the season he is 7 points clear of 4th, he's probably out. That's how Cardinale has operated.
So I don't think
far.
you can be Milan and not set that as a minimum, right? And I don't think that means that if Glasner comes in, has a really good season, just misses out, but the team is playing a good brand of football. They got to the semi-finals of that, they got to the final of this, you know, and there's actually positivity. I find it hard to believe. It's like when I hire someone, I tell them, you have to reach these KPIs. If they don't reach these KPIs, doesn't mean they're out. You know what I mean? You angle them as non-negotiable, whatever, you need to motivate the people. But I think the way Allegri did it was... You simply have to sack him because it was a terrible brand of football that was being played. It was an incredible collapse. He didn't earn the respect of his team because the team clearly weren't playing for him and they were sulking on the pitch until the last day at home to Cagliari when all they needed was a fucking point. they got knocked out of the Coppa Italia immediately. They were playing one game of football a week, you know? Like, okay, there are many factors, a 19-man squad, this and that, but I think there is a case where it doesn't have to be a Conte to get you top 4, but it can be someone a bit more exciting, and you can build a bit of a project around them if they show Cardinale the right things. I don't think Cardinale is a robot where he goes, 5th, you're out.
I don't know. I think he is, personally. I think 50 you're out is
Well,
literally...
only
bro,
time.
Milan just missed out by 1 point.
But I just said that, like, Allegri...
Last week he was willing to give Allegri the keys. Last week he was going to give Allegri the keys and he was going to fucking be in charge of everything.
Sure, weird.
You know, weird. Yes,
Weird.
of course it's weird. Because he cared... The model is all stats and numbers and position and revenue and everything. That's the model. That's how they operate. And we've seen it, bro. Maldini, you know what, man? You're a big name, but I don't like that you did this and I don't like that you did this and I don't like that you
He
devised
didn't like Maldini because he didn't like Maldini personally.
Tonali, okay, you're good, but 80 million, you're out. Reinders, 40 million, that's a lot of profit, you're out. You know what I mean? Fonseca, you're playing nice football. You have beaten Real Madrid, you've beaten so many big teams. Maybe we can do something with
But
you.
don't you think these things can perhaps change now that Forlani is out? Forlani made a lot of these calls, bro.
I don't know.
He was the
I don't know.
designated
At the end of the
CEO.
day, this is Cardinale's team.
This is Cardinale's team, but Cardinale...
We'll have to see. I hope that that's the case because these managers, of course, bro. If you give them time and patience and support, quite frankly, there are some interesting names. I mean, 6th with Bournemouth in the Premier League. This isn't a fucking joke. You know what I mean?
No,
That's
it's
crazy.
excellent.
Yeah.
I am going to ask you to move on just because I'm very aware that we spent a lot of time on this.
I mean, to be honest, that's the main talking point. But there's Como. But yeah,
There's Juve and Roma as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, where did they finish in the table?
This fuckhead. Milan are 5th. Let me pull
Did I
that
do
up.
something wrong?
No,
Fuckhead,
because I have to say it again that Milan are out of the top 4.
Serie A.
Yeah, I have it here. Milan are 5th with 70 points, while Cagliari are in 14th with 43 points.
Let's jump to the other losers of this episode, Torino 2, Juve 2. So, of course, Torino finished 12th last season and they finished 11th this season. Draw on points with 12th, though. They were coming off an away loss to Cagliari. Their goal was simple, stop Juve from winning, and they definitely can't get Champions League football. They missed Maripan, Anjorin and Abu Klal. Juve didn't make top 4 purely on sporting merit without deductions or sanctions for the first time since the 2010-2011 season after a loss to Fiorentina and a draw to Torino in their final 2 matches of the season. They were without Bremer, Cabal and Milik, with Yildiz only fit for the bench. The previous encounter between these two sides was a 0-0 draw. This must be the first time in a while that Juve didn't win a game against Torino in the entire season. Torino started in a 3-4-1-2 formation with Paleari in goal and the backline of Ebosse, Smiley and Coco, Obrador on the left, Pedersen on the right, midfield 2 of Ginetis and Ilkan with Vlasic just ahead of them, and Zapata and Simeone starting up front together. A 3-4-2-1 formation for Spalletti's men, Perin in goal, backline of Kalulu, Gatti and Kelly, McKennie on the right, Cambiaso on the left, midfield 2 of Locatelli and Thuram, with Conceição and Boga flanking Dusan Vlahovic. So this game actually started an hour later than all the other games that were taking place, and we found it dodgy to say the least, because obviously Juve would know certain outcomes, so they can, adjust according to that. But it turns out that it was due to clashes between the Juve and Torino ultras outside the stadium, which left one Juve fan hospitalized in critical condition. Bianconeri supporters demanded the match be cancelled, and when it was decided to go ahead, 1 hour late, Juve fans abandoned the stadium entirely, and I think there were even threats that they will storm the pitch. Obviously, it's no joke. There was a Juve fan in critical condition. This is something we've seen in the past as well, where a match for Napoli was delayed because of something with the ultras as well, and I believe it was Marek Hamsik who went to speak to them personally for the game to be held. These are things that happen in football, and particularly in Serie A, with the ultras culture. Vlahovic scored in the 24th minute with a deflected strike following Thuram's run and pass. In the 54th minute, Vlahovic made it 2-0 on the counter after Conceição surged forward and found the Serb, who side-footed it into the bottom left corner. That's his second brace of the season. and it looked like Juve would win the derby comfortably after that. But then came the comeback, as Casadei was brought on as a substitute, and he headed home from an Obrador corner in the 59th minute, and in the 84th minute from another corner. Again, to Casadei, Perrin saved it, but it fell to Adams, who was in the right place at the right time. His shot took a deflection off of Holmes' chest, but it snuck past Perrin to make it 2-2. Juve already knew they wouldn't reach Champions League over there, as results from Cremona and Verona had already confirmed it, so there wasn't much at stake over there. My opening question to you regarding Juve, so we know how Juve's season went. They started it with Tudor after giving him the keys, after he got them Champions League football post Motta last season, but they did have to let him go. They brought in Spalletti, who they spent the majority of the season with. They went on a long stretch of games undefeated. That was 10 games, but then they crumbled at the finish line, and they got down to 6th place. Do you think Juve deserved Champions League this year?
I don't really believe in, I know it's going to sound fucking edgy, but I don't really believe in deserved or not, you know what I mean? It's a point system, and the latter part of the season always has a little bit of recency bias attached to it, because when you look at how many teams started the season, when they start very well, you kind of forget about it towards the end, right? Because it's the end that matters. I don't think they deserved Champions League. No, I think if you have to look at Roma and Como, they probably deserved it more than them. I mean, yes, it's true that Juve have been much better with Spalletti than they were under Tudor, and it's true that they did have their shortcomings and they seem to get over them. But no way, no. Simply no.
And it's a tough situation, obviously, for Juve to be in. I'm just going to read a couple of things over here. Juve finished 6th with 69 points. They're heading into Europa League football. They do have financial issues. We know how important the Champions League money is for them. There's uncertainty around Vlahovic. There's uncertainty around the majority of the squad. There's uncertainty around the project itself. But there definitely is certainty around the manager, which at least gives Juve this kind of playbook, and they can build around the manager when there's such a lack of trust in the people running the shit show for Juve. At least there's trust in the kind of the sporting kind of side and the managers, and they can perhaps try their best to give Spalletti what he needs in order to get the team playing his kind of football. And I think like that they could head into next season confidently, even though they probably don't have a lot of money to play around with. But it's simple to see the reasons why Juve didn't do well this season. So they started again from another year zero. It's the second season in a row they had to do that. I have to remember last season with Motta and Giuntoli, where they came in and essentially removed all the dead weight, and they got rid of a bunch of players who were on ridiculous wages and were barely playing any matches of football. They killed off a lot of youths as well, which they tried to make a markup of, but you know they
all ended up being ballers.
They all ended up going to Real Madrid, like not just one of them, of course. But it is the way in which they invested the money that ended up being their downfall. Jake is playing a game on his iPad right now.
Bloody sofa score.
You're trying Tasty, what's that? Whatever. But
Tasty Travels, the merge game.
you could see what Juve tried to do with their signings. Like, of course, they didn't sign a midfielder when they were in the market for a midfielder for a long time, but they said, look, let's sign 2 top quality strikers. And they signed David, who had a great record in League One, and he's been on the radar for a lot of clubs, and they signed Openda, and they spent a lot of money on Openda. They spent 40 million on Openda, and that totally went to shit, completely went to shit, because those guys were, I think, 2 of the worst signings. Well, I think Openda was the worst signing full stop for the entire season. Because he flopped so hard, yes?
When you sign a striker without having a manager that you are totally confident in, it's a waste of money.
I get you.
And we've seen it. We have 2 clear examples of it, okay? You have, let's start with the spectral opposite. Kivu wanted Pio Esposito in the team because he knows him, he likes his style. He's not an expensive player. He's a very cheap player. He's just one of the players that Kiev wanted, and he ended up scoring about 7 goals this season.
Great.
That's a good example. Great. I mean,
No,
he was
that's
serviceable.
what you
That's
get,
what
you
he
know.
wanted. Allegri was given Nkunku when he plays a 3-5-2. Spalletti found 3 strikers on extremely high salaries, not even 3-4 because Milik is there still. And he doesn't even like any of them. He wasn't even deploying most of them. He would start with Vlahovic or not even field the others.
We said last episode, Vlahovic was available, and so David and Openda didn't play a second.
Yeah.
Since Vlahovic
There are many parallels between Juve and Milan, man. You look at, last season Tudor got Champions League. So they were like, we'll show faith in you. But then how can you show faith in someone, bring in players for this someone, and then not even give him a full season the next season? I'm not saying that Tudor should have been given more time or anything like that, but he should have never been given the keys to begin with if you don't believe that this guy is the guy for the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Every manager, you should look at them as this is the manager for the future. This is a project manager that we're going to go into the next 3 years with this guy. But the problem is right now, the way that football is and the way that Italian football is, Champions League revenue is so important, especially for the top teams who spend a lot and end up relying on it, that you miss out on Champions League once, it can detriment and it can fuck your entire project, man, quite frankly.
And in fact, I mean, that we wait and see what's going to happen with Juve, but that is very much seeming like the case. I mean, it's hard to offload some of these players that they have to offload to make some money. I mean, Vlahovic is likely going to leave on a free. There's no way they're getting rid of Openda with his wage demands and the fact that they just signed him for 40 million. They're definitely not getting any money back over there.
Same about David.
Same with David, but they got David on a free.
But his
so
salary,
they could, get 5 million from Fenerbahce for him.
I doubt they'll match
or
his
some
salary.
shit like that. There are also structural problems, don't get me wrong, because Di Gregorio has been thrown under the bus, and rightly so, because he's had an awful season, one of the worst seasons I've seen a goalkeeper have in the top 4 teams in Serie A. I'm not counting Tatarusanu because he was obviously the second choice goalkeeper.
They conceded from the first shot again.
But I'm
this
about
game,
to say Perin conceded the first shot on target. So there are structural issues as well. It's not just that they have a shit goalkeeper. Every shot that comes Juve's way, they're conceding, because the shots that they're conceding aren't coming from 40 yards out. They're coming from crucial positions where you can concede. It was a set piece. No one picked up Cassidy in the first one. No one picked up Cassidy in the second one. Now again, it's a terrible example of a game to use for Juve, because they entered the second half knowing that they were going to be in the Europa League next
and in fact, the intensity dropped off so much after that second goal. And to be honest, man, like you look at the momentum chart, it's crazy. You can see when the other matches finished, literally, and that's when Torino started just having the ball and attacking.
That was Torino were loving it from that moment on.
Shea Adams just had his moment. He really enjoyed it at the end.
Exactly. So interesting to see how Juve are going to handle the situation. Interesting to see what management decisions they're going to make about Comoli. Will he be staying on? Are they going to go for another year zero? I am confident. I'd be much more confident, of course, if they made Champions League. But I am confident that with Spalletti having a full preseason there after doing 6 months at the team during their worst period over the past 15 years, their worst period in the past 15 years, scandals aside, that they have the right man for the job, because they were playing good football under him. They wasted a lot of chances. Those are really going to haunt them. The fact that they had those strikers missing all those chances and Conceição missing all those chances, those are going to fucking haunt the players, man.
Yeah, bro. And again, this is another parallel with Milan, funnily enough, the lack of personality, the lack of ownership of the situation, the lack of planning. The fact that, Yildiz is a wonder kid, but as we said last week, he's a wonder kid, but he's not ready to lead the team week in, week out. And the same can be said about, for example, Bartesaghi. You know what I mean? Like, these guys just simply aren't. I mean, of course, Bartesaghi's another extreme, because he's literally like in his first season. Yeah. But yeah, bro, I feel like there are many naive decisions being made at these top teams in Italy right now, and it's costing them. I mean, Milan and Juve missing out on the Champions League. You said this is the first time since 19?
Not 19. Since I think 2011 it was.
For you, both Juve and Milan. Right?
For both. You're saying for both Milan and Juve
missing out.
Since 1992, 1993.
I'm pretty sure that's when it wasn't that like when the competition actually started, like officially when it changed. There we go.
Yes,
there we go.
Keep or sell Juve edition.
Okay, fun.
That and we move on. Firstly, shame on Spalletti for not doing the routine thing that is done every single season and giving Pinsoglio 5 minutes.
I was gonna say.
Give Pinsoglio 5 minutes. He's the nicest guy in the league.
Yeah.
Whatever. Pinsoglio.
Keep, of course.
Dressing room vibes.
Of course.
Perrin.
I mean, if you keep him as a backup, no problem. But
keep or sell.
I would I'd sell.
Di Gregorio.
I'd sell as well. Fuck it.
Emil Home.
Keep.
Lloyd Kelly.
I mean, might as well keep him on the bench.
Juan Cabal.
Sell.
Gatti.
Keep.
Kalulu.
Keep.
Bremer.
Keep. Good luck.
Miretti.
Keep.
Adzic.
Loan.
Kostic.
Sell.
Cambiaso.
Sell.
Cope Miners.
You can try to sell him.
Weston McKennie.
Keep.
Locatelli.
Keep.
Thuram.
Keep.
Boga.
Keep.
Zegrova.
Sell.
Interesting. Milik.
Sell.
Openda.
Try to sell.
David.
I mean, try to sell.
Conceição.
Keep.
Vlahovic.
At this point, man, I would try to negotiate something for him. I mean, I would try to keep him, but
12 million,
not for 12. I mean,
million a season.
Ideally, just let him go. I think financially, let him go.
Let him go to Saudi and ruin his bloody career unless he decides to take a pay cut from somewhere. Kenan Yildiz.
Keep. Now, many of the keeps I said would be kept, but subs is that.
Yeah,
that's what I think they should go about.
I gathered that much.
Yeah.
You're way more cutthroat than that usually. Juve finished 6th, as we said, on 69 points. Nice. When it comes to Torino, 12th on 45 points.
Would you keep Zegrova, by the way?
Would I keep? I'd keep Zegrova. I might loan him out. I might.
How old is he?
He's quite young. Zegrova is... No, man, he's 27.
I was going to say, he doesn't offer much. He's just not a manager's dream, is he? He's actually quite a manager's nightmare.
Yes, but also so is bloody Cherky.
Yes, but Cherky.
He can jog bonita a bit. Yo, but we haven't seen it, unfortunately.
No, he comes on.
He just felt very unfit this season.
Yeah, very heavy. It's true. We can move on to the next one. We have Hellas Verona 0, Roma 2, and this was the match which saw Roma qualifying for the Champions League for the first time in 7 years since that 2018-2019 season. Wesley was suspended, of course, after the derby brawl, and several players were injured. But it was Sule and Pizzilli who ended up starting behind Dybala and Malen. Let me read you the full systems over here. We have Hellas Verona with Montipo at the back, Valentini, Edmondson and Nelson as the back with at the back with Freze on the left, Belgali on the right with Haroui, Lovric and Akpro in the middle, Bowie and Suslov playing together up front. As for Roma, it was Villar in goal, with Mancini, Gilardi and Hermoso at the back, Celik on the right, Rensch on the left with Pizzilli and Cristante playing as a double pivot, with Sule and Dybala playing behind Malen. And to be honest, bro, this game was anything but straightforward, and Verona were super aggressive from the first minute. And Bowie, in fact, tested Villar immediately, and the goalkeeper had to produce a good save to deny the same player one-on-one before halftime. Montepo was equally busy on the other end. He acrobatically tipped Dybala's free kick from under the crossbar, and the game's turning point arrived in a 3-minute burst. It was Valentini who received his second yellow card for fouling Dybala, reducing Verona to 10 men, and VAR spotted Bowie's handball and gave a penalty to Roma. Malen stepped up with his short run-up, the same run-up we saw a few weeks ago. Montepo guessed right and saved it, but Dybala, who had been standing on the edge of the box very intelligently, was the quickest to react react to the rebound and just squared it straight to Malin to bundle in from close range. And then he celebrated like an absolute madman. Roma then wasted quite a lot of chances to kill it. Malin particularly couldn't get his head to a cross at a very narrow angle. And then the insurance arrived late on in the game when there was a moment of Dybala generosity to send El Shaarawy clear, who had initiated the play. And to be honest, bro, I think there was a player in a better position.
Robinho Vaz.
Yeah, Robinho Vaz was...
the hell.
Vaz the hell, pass.
Vaz the hell, pass the ball to me.
He was wide open, but of course it was El Shaarawy's last game, so he wanted to give his friend the ball. And El Shaarawy's always been a neat finisher.
He has been. And
he
gets
finished,
overlooked for his finishing.
It's true, and he finished extremely cleanly. And it was all celebrations and scenes. And for the first time, yes, in the Friedkin era, Roma are in the Champions League. Gasperini has delivered in his first season.
Friedkin!
The Friedkins! It's been a long way. It's been 2 years since we said that.
It has been 2 years because the situation died down a little bit when it comes to the ownership of Roma, etc. And I mean, what a way to kill that kind of, friction and tension by getting Champions League football. And they did it in a very, very, very clear way. We're getting Gasperini and we're believing in Gasperini. So I meant to make a point in the last episode, but I never ended up making it. So Roma chose to support Gasperini and they let go of Ranieri. They're like, you know what, Ranieri's causing the tension. Gasperini is trying to do a job. He's trying to do a job with these players. Yes, he spoke disrespectfully there. Whatever, he's our guy. And we can't let another coach go after a short-term spell like with De Rossi and Juric and the likes, They made their bed and they slept in it. And that's a situation that, for example, Milan failed to do when there was the whole friction between Allegri and Zlatan. That is something Milan failed to do. And that tension can be felt in the attitude of the players. What happened the second, not to say Ranieri was a huge problem for Roma, Ranieri was a massive solution for Roma many a times, but within this role, with that setup, having Gasperini and Ranieri was the weakest link over there, and he was, causing friction and disrupting how Gasperini wanted to play with his team, just because of obviously that personal dispute that they had between each other. Once that situation was resolved, Roma didn't lose a game.
Yes.
They didn't drop a point after that situation was resolved.
It's just crazy. Who would have thought that backing the manager is the way to go? Look at Cardinale.
Backing Gasperini. Gasperini, who was someone that Atalanta were like, Gasperini, if you want to get rid of Papu Gomez, get rid of Papu Gomez. It's no problem.
You don't like the star player anymore? He's gone. Don't worry. Don't worry.
He's gone off to Seville.
Don't worry. Milan are like, you know what, man? We'll sack everyone and keep Zlatan.
Bad Zlatan.
Exactly.
Bad Zlatan. They'll sack Maldini before they sack Zlatan. But whatever.
I feel like screaming, bro. I feel like fucking screaming.
Roma.
Yes.
Roma.
18 clean sheets this season, Miles Villar. That's something we forgot to mention when we
chose Carnesecchi.
When we said that Carnesecchi's been better. Of course, clean sheets are a team stat, but of course the goalkeeper makes a massive difference, and we could see it from minute one. You know, when he made that save.
It's hard to argue that Villar got it when he's kept 18 clean sheets.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. Bro, I mean, massive for Roma. They have a lot of work to do to improve the team, in my opinion, but they have many pieces there. Who is the building block? What's the spine of this Roma team, in your opinion?
Oh, what the spine is?
The spine.
Is Villar. Tough one between Indica and Mancini. Mancini represents everything Roma, but Indica, for me, best defender in the league. So it's Villar, Indica, Manu Kone, Malin,
yes.
That's the spine.
Yeah.
That is what everything should be built around.
And then you have the likes of Sule and Dybala. And apparently Dybala might even be staying. He's taking an extension, right?
So very interesting. So he's taking, from what I heard, he's taking a pay cut in order to stay. Now, that doesn't exactly upset me because it's fucking Paulo Dybala.
It's Dybala.
I think if someone doesn't like Dybala, they're weird. Like
when he when he plays, he's always one of the most creative players on the pitch in
with
the league. You know?
With the ball at his feet, if you give Dybala the ball, he's gonna cook something.
Yeah.
Don't expect him to,
The problem is if they
put in that work rate, track back, win the ball. Even though at times last season he was pretty much the only one doing that.
yeah.
It almost bothers me that he's staying on for another season for this reason, because he had a really tough season at Roma. And he turned it around at the end with his good passing, his good vision, his good work rate. He got 2 assists over here. Such a great, talented player. He had the opportunity to leave on a bit of a high. They just made Champions League. He got 2 assists on the final match to kind of seal that for them. He could have left on a high. Now I see his responsibility next season. He's probably not going to start too much. He'll probably get another injury, knowing his fortune. So I do think there was an opportunity to leave on a high.
Yes, fair. But why end the story if you are willing to take a pay cut and to be Gasperini's jolly? We've
enough.
seen Luis Muriel, who couldn't run for more than 30 minutes, score, what was it, bro? Like fucking
20 goals.
something like that. Like
honestly,
17
it was
goals, I think
ridiculous.
something like that in a season, just scoring at the end. I had him on fantasy football that season, and every time he would come on with an SV, meaning
Come on to the 91st
senza
minute,
voto, right? Without a vote, without a score, because he'd come on in the 85th,
Yeah,
and
you need
every
15
time
minutes.
he would score, every single time. It was unbelievable, and yeah, I think Dybala can do a shift like that, working as a jolly, but yes, I think they have a good spine, bro, to build from. Yeah.
I think so as well. And I mean, with Gasperini, they have a project. Now, it's interesting to see with this Champions League money that they're going to get. Now, I know Roma's financial situation is also weird. But with this Champions League money that they're going to get, how much of it is going to be Gasperini's role to bring in players, and how much of it is going to fall to the management? I don't know how much technically Gasperini was involved in the hiring at Atalanta, but I think if Gasperini wants a player, you give it to him.
Yeah.
I think if Gasperini, because Gasperini was willing to, Bonnie Blue himself to get Daniel Malin, like and he got him, and look what he's capable of doing. So I think that's enough of a case study of, hey, look, if he wants him, give it him.
I think with these corporate ownerships, let's call them that, you have to accept that you might get a player you want, but you're also going to get certain plusvalenza players. You're going to get players for capital gains. You're going to get players that are brought in for bargain prices at a young age with a high upside, and you're going to sell them for a profit. That's why, and Gasperini, I think, needs to, I'm not sure if he needs to accept it or to continue opposing them, because when Vaz and Zaragoza were brought in, he publicly said, like, there are those who want to win and those who sign Vaz and Zaragoza.
Yeah.
So I think we'll see that, for example. Well, we have already seen it with Milan. I mean, they brought in Rabiot for Allegri, but they also gave him the likes of Odogu, Atekame.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Odogu, oh my god.
Odogu.
Where is he, bro?
I have no idea, but he was brought in for 70 million, so if you sell him for 15, it's a win. Cha-ching. Shout out to Divine Wrench for having a really cool first name. In the final 7 matches of the season, he was a catalyst. He played extremely well, and he got himself 3 assists and 1 goal. He's a massive unsung hero, quite frankly. Spoiler alert for this Champions League push.
The Divine Wrench.
Divine Wrench.
You saw a wrench? Which one? The Divine one.
Exactly.
Yes, but massive congratulations to Roma. Like, when you see the scenes in Rome after they get Champions League, it's the kind of shit that gives you goosebumps. They're such a... Roma are a very beautiful club, and the city of Rome is beautiful. The people of Rome are very passionate, and it's good to see not a northern team, because keep in mind they are del Sole, they're like in the center of Italy, so it's good to see Roma coming back up. I made the point earlier this season, and I stand by it. Roma are not one of the big clubs in Italy. The big clubs are a very obvious top 3. There's a very obvious top 3 historically in Italy. It's Milan, Juve, and Inter, and then there I would say top 4. Actually, there's Napoli. There's you can add Napoli to that equation.
Lately,
and
exactly.
then in a slight tier below, and historically because of the whole, and then the Maradona.
But then where do you draw the? Because then technically you can
Roma,
put.
one Scudetto they have.
Exactly, yes, but Napoli have what, 4?
4.
Exactly. Genoa have 9.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mixing in recent kind of performance. They won 2 leagues in 3 years,
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
Yeah.
Roma are a slight tier below, but it's never too late. Roma, go Roma.
Go Roma. They are in. They finished. No, they finished.
Finish, no?
In 3rd with 73 points, while Hellas Verona, our dear Hellas Verona, with our lovely patrons who support them, I'm looking forward to hearing updates from them in Serie B next season, to be honest with you. They are in 19th with 21 points. Go get that parachute payment and come right back, boys.
Hell yes, man. The next game was a final for 2 teams for very different reasons. Cremonese 1, Como 4. Just like in the 2022-2023 season, Cremonese only spent a solitary season in Serie A before falling back down to Serie B, but this time it went down to the final day. With Lecce winning, there was absolutely nothing else Cremonese could have done anyway. This was the biggest night in Como's history as they sealed Champions League football for the first time ever, confirmed after Milan's loss to Cagliari. Promoted to Serie A 2 seasons ago, 7 years ago, they were playing in the 4th division. They missed Addai, Valle and Paz was only fit for the bench. Addai and Valle with Paz only fit enough for the bench and not to be risked before the World Cup. The previous encounter between these 2 sides was in fact a 1-1 draw. That was when Cremonese were hot shit. 3-5-2 formation for them in their final hurrah. Audero and goal, backline of Luperto, Bianchetti and Terracciano. Of course, what's his face was injured, Baschirotto. Pezzella on the left, Zerbin on the right, a midfield trio of Male, Grassi and Torsby with Vardy and Bonazzoli starting up front together. 4-2-3-1 for Fabregas, his men, Bute in goal, backline of Smolcic, Ramon, Kemp and Moreno, double pivot of Da Cunha and Perrone with Diao, Baturina and Rodriguez playing behind Duvikas. So it was an extraordinary night at the Zini. Cremonese were decimated before kickoff because of a stomach bug.
Oh God!
There was a stomach bug going around
Imagine
in the Cremonese dressing room.
being
Man,
Gianpaolo
the final fucking day.
Thinking my luck.
The final game of the season. It ruled out Bondo, Paiero, Mumbagna and Faye. Then Sanabria, Baschirotto and Ceccherini were also injured. Male picked up a muscular injury in the opening few minutes and all hopes rested on Vardy. And if you haven't watched the Vardy documentary yet, go watch it. It's unbelievable.
His first goal after the release of his Netflix documentary.
Available too. Como dominated from the start, but Audero held firm. In the 36th minute, Diao's cross was parried onto a poor Pezzella clearance and Jesus Rodriguez finished for 1-0. 6 minutes after halftime, Rodriguez assisted Duvikas for his 14th goal of the season to make it 2-0. And then came Cremonese's lifeline as Ramon bundled into Vardy and a penalty was awarded and Bonazzoli, their top scorer, converted. Then it got crazy after the 2-1. Around the 70th minute, Bianchetti's high boot challenge on Duvikas was reviewed by VAR and a penalty to Como was awarded despite furious Cremonese protests. 3 Cremonese players were sent off. 2 of them were on the bench. Grassi, who was the only one on the pitch, and then Okereke and Juric, who were warming up, also got sent off for dissent. Lucas Da Cunha converted the penalty, then added a 4th shortly after. Cremonese were relegated, the Great Escape was over, Lecce had already gone 1-up against Genoa, so there was absolutely nothing they could do anyway. We'll talk about Cremonese in a second. I want to celebrate Como. What a fucking story. Again, I'm just going to do the same thing I've been doing every week, where you go, if you think Como are bad for Serie A, open your eyes, baby. Because now, what's everyone doing? Even Milan have come out and said, you know what, we want a Fabregas style of manager. And how can you look at what Atalanta were doing over the past years with that cohesion that they had between the president, the sporting director, the manager and the players. You look at that synergy that Atalanta had, the players that they brought in, getting 100% out of them without breaking the bank completely. and then doing well in a sporting perspective. Como have done exactly that. After coming up to Serie A 2 seasons ago. Last season, they weren't exactly battling relegation. They finished 10th, you know? But this season, they got 4th. It's an absolutely crazy story. If you tell me it's because of the money Como have, I'll argue that Milan spent more, I'll argue that Juve spent more, and there are many teams.
And their wage bill is much lower.
Their wage bill is much lower, and they didn't sign fucking, you know, top Serie A players or whatever. They signed this left winger from Betis. They signed Baturina from Croatia. They got Diao from Betis as well, or somewhere in Spain. Betis, I think. You know, where did Duvicas come from? It's not that they're just rich and they're throwing money.
It's excellent
all
scouting.
around.
And they
excellently run club.
They employed a lot of their scouts from Twitter.
What?
Yeah, man, from these people who would make like little snippets of highlights of players and player profiles. They would scout them from
That's
there.
insane, man.
And that was like a big thing when they had just got promoted to Serie A. I remember the story going around a bunch. The most impressive thing about this Como team, in my opinion, is that they play football the way they play it, but they only conceded 29 goals.
Best in the league.
That's mental.
And only Arsenal conceded fewer in the top 5 leagues.
That's crazy.
And Arsenal are a super defensive club, but obviously Como hog possession a lot, so it is hard for them to concede chances when they're only creating chances. And this is a team that also, I think, lost 4-0 at a point against Inter. So four of those 29 goals
came in one game.
Shitty day at the office. They also averaged 61% ball possession this season on average.
Christ.
That's, I mean, those are 2 points that belong together. 2 points that are married, 2 points that are 69ing. And to whoever also says that Como are bad for the league. When you look at the football that they're playing, I see people in the same breath saying that Italian teams are too defensive, the Allegri style is outdated, and the contest style is outdated, and this style is outdated, and it shouldn't be too defensive, and it's killing football or whatever. Then you get Como, who are such a breath of fresh air in how they're playing football, in how direct they are, in how they encourage individuals to take their man on. You know, just the way that they played football in getting top 4 was they are one of the teams that I think are gonna adapt really well to life in the Champions League, because they are fast and they play a modern style of football.
It's true, bro. They're hard to beat. They can pile pressure a lot. They just have to improve how they see out games, because we have seen that twice. When the legs start to tire and the minds start to wander, they give up. Actually, they stop piling pressure whatsoever. They stop entirely. So that's something they need to address. But they're going to get much better. There are a bunch of question marks. So they've already started the renovations on their stadium immediately. Boom! The second the season ended. Not even the second the season ended, because this was an away. This was a home game or an away game? Remind me, brother. This was away. Exactly. In fact, last week they started renovations on their pitch immediately. Matchday 37. They do need to see where they stand when it comes to financial fair play and all that stuff, and they do need to also make sure that they have Italian homegrown players, and that's going to be a little bit of a nightmare, I think, for them to sort.
They can hire, they can bring in Italian players. I don't think it's a problem. I think they'll intelligently sign these young Italian players.
Imagine like Palestra.
They can totally buy Palestra.
Imagine.
They can totally buy Petzella. They can totally buy Leoni. They have the fucking money to do it.
Yeah, they do.
They have the money to do it.
They do.
You know?
We'll see. I'm curious to read the news about Como and to see how they're going to build and get ready for it. Because so far, man, they've done it so quickly. It's crazy. It's like one of those...
I thought that was a bad thing. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, they have... 2 years ago they were in Serie B.
We were talking about them on Meet the Boys.
Yeah. 7 years ago they were in Serie D.
Last season we were talking about them on Meet the Boys.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. Like, and they just always did the right things. They employed the right people. They brought in the right players. When they were in Serie B, you know, Fabregas mentioned this. And in the first season in Italy, they had Italians.
Of course, that Cutrone last season as well. They are, bro, the most exciting project in world football And Wrexham. And Wrexham.
Yeah.
Because that's a cool story coming
It
to
is,
life
it is,
over
it
there
is.
where they just missed out on.
Yeah, there are the Hollywood stories, these two.
Yeah.
But it's also it's a Hollywood story, but it's also a zero to hero kind of
Dude,
story.
it is a Fabregas story as well. It is a beautiful Fabregas story because this is an absolute football romantic that is inexcusably himself when it comes to how they play football. He defended his football a number of times. People are actually going to concede too many goals like that. Has the best defensive record in the league. Like, you can't keep playing with that high line. Italian teams are going to eat you up. No, they fucking didn't, man. They got top 4. Now, for me about Fabregas, you see the way he interacts with his players.
Oh.
He's the best boss in the world, bro. He's the best boss in the world. He is a Gen Z boss. He has that style of like really like just giving it all to the players. Guys, I gave you the tools, but it was you, man.
Yeah.
These are some of his quotes that I caught from the end of the game. Firstly, this is the kind of aura that he has, where he goes, when I told you have to win the last 2 games of the season, I told you if we win the last 2 games of the season, despite, the Milan situation, the Juve situation, etc., I told you if we win them, we're going to be in the Champions League. I had a feeling, and I always go by feelings. He has a feeling, everyone listens.
His wife must be so stressed out all the time, this
Man.
guy.
But this was up to you. It was all thanks to you. Quote number 2. We try to help you, give you certain solutions, but you are the reason why this is so fucking beautiful. Quote number 3. Quote number 4. All my life, because this would be probably the best group I will ever coach in my future.
That's the one I remember. I was going to mention it. This is the best group I will ever coach, and I will never forget you. Something like that.
Not
That's
good for Serie A.
That's
So
crazy.
good
I
for
mean,
Serie A,
he's so likable, man. He's such a good leader, quite frankly, and to manage a squad of about 40 players and to keep everyone happy and to keep the group united is not
Totally.
easy at all.
Totally.
And to manage the pressure when you're overachieving and you're within that zone, and to on the final day when the likes of Milan couldn't even beat Cagliari, and then you're just wiping the floor with your opponent away from home 4-1, you're humiliating them. These guys are fighting for their lives and you're embarrassing them.
You're
It is
flipping them
it is,
over, doing
it
different
is.
positions.
Exactly,
That's what Como did to Cremonese.
I also this reminds me as well of Pizzacane's interview at the end. He said, the team talk at the end. He said, you guys are a young group, but one day you will realize what you did today. And I thought that was amazing as well.
Bro, goose flesh.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Bro,
but
I
have a bit. I have a bit.
I want to tell you before. I used to have a teacher who used to say goose pimples, bro.
I had to say one, dude.
Goose
You're not
pimples,
tired.
yeah.
You're not tired. Goose pimples. He also used to game on Call of Duty.
Yeah, he also said that he had
yeah.
a student who failed chemistry once, and he saw him at the cheese counter. Like, sorry, bro, what's wrong with working at a cheese counter? You asshole. Yeah,
Nerd.
yeah,
At
Dorkenstein.
least we get to call these people nerds, bro. we'll always have that, man.
Yeah, he was a dorka.
Of course, Nico Paz will likely believe in Como, and everything is pointing in his return to Real Madrid. I just want to extend a heartfelt thank you to Nico Paz for the 2 exceptional seasons he's had in Serie A. But I also look at Como and I say I am not worried about it. I'm not worried about it because he's paved the way for Baturina. He's paved the way for Jesus Rodriguez. Duvikas came off a season without being remarkable. He scored 14 goals this season without being remarkable. They also have Assane Diao, who in my opinion, if he is always fit, he wipes the floor with all these players. I think Assane Diao, if he was always fit, he would have the trajectory of Thierry Henry.
He's one of
could be that kind of.
He's good. No,
fucking player.
I'm not even sure you're
ridiculous.
exaggerating
Yeah,
at
bro.
this point because he's good. And you see him. He has the potential to humiliate the opposition.
Bro. And he has that direct stride similar to Malin. Oh my god, the comments we have that we haven't been reading this episode.
Oh my god.
Okay, Tyson's keeping them entertained. That is good. I hope they're not arguing over Como doing all this so easily. Just shows how terrible the rest of the clubs are. I mean, sure, you're not wrong over there. All those players who came through Palermo have something about. Okay, they're having a bit of a Serie B chat over here. Well, yes, that's exactly what we want from the comment section. So that's enough about Como. Guess who I'm supporting in the Champions League next year? No
Cremonese.
Como. Cremonese down to Serie B, and this has to be one of the most disappointing ones in recent history. Of course, if you listen to the pod, you know that we're rooting for Lecce, the Southerners. But Cremonese were so fucking cool this year, and they had such a good start, man. They won their first 2 matches of the season over Milan and Sassuolo, and one of them included a Bonazzoli bicycle kick that's in the top 5 goals of this league, and it was scored in Matchday 1, one of the first goals of the season. They were undefeated in their opening 5, where they had... No, sorry, they were undefeated in their opening 5. In their opening 10, they had 3 wins, 5 draws, 2 losses. This then changed to a 15-match run without a win, and only after that they decided to sack their manager Davide Nicola, appointed Giampaolo, who notoriously needs time to work with a squad. They gave him a little time, and there is little he could do to bring this team back to where they were at the start of the season. If you decide, okay, to keep Davide Nicola after a 15-match run where you didn't get a single win and you've just entered the relegation zone, keep him. Keep him. Keep the relegation expert. Look back at the past 3-4 seasons and see what teams escaped and how they escaped. Empoli last season. There was Salernitana. There was... Who else did he do it? He had done it with Crotone as well. You keep him if you're in the relegation zone. But they waited until they got to a position where he's probably most effective as a manager, and they're like, bring in Giampaolo.
I think, to be honest, when Nicola's the most effective as a manager is upon arrival. He has to find a way to keep that up, because I think he has an excellent motivation strategy upon arrival to raise spirits, but then after that, maintaining it seems to be a little bit difficult for him, because he fizzled out. I don't even remember him completing a full season.
No, he hasn't. We worked this out last time. I thought he had with Salernitana.
Yeah, no.
But he hadn't.
He had, with that time with Salernitana, he had been recalled like 3 or 4 times, I think it was.
He was sacked after a devastating loss. I believe it was against Inter. I forgot who it was against. Is someone at your door?
This is the neighbor's door.
This is the neighbor's door.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know the neighbors were in your apartment. He was sacked, then he convinced them to bring him back. They brought him back, then he lost 2 games and got sacked again. You remember that?
I do.
It was devastating. But Cremonese, I mean, they've already been relegated in 2023, and they were back in Serie A, and it's because they do have a decent project going on for them. They're not a poor club either. So yeah, I think we will be seeing them back quite soon. Even before they got promoted to Serie A, they made the playoff final where they had just lost to Venezia, if I'm not mistaken. So they will be back. They finished, 18th on 34 points, whereas obviously Como finished 4th on 71 points.
Who are the players from this group who stay in Serie A? And why is it that whenever I read Mumbania's name, I imagine Trump's voice?
Because once I said Mumbania, but I would have said it because there was... who stays in Serie A out of this group? Luperto, Male, Thorsby, Zerbin, Pezzella,
yes,
Audero,
Bonazzoli,
and maybe Bonazzoli.
Of course, Bonazzoli stays. Scored 10 goals this year.
Bonazzoli.
And
Terracciano maybe, but to be fair, Terracciano can use a season in B.
What's his name? Baschirotto.
Of
course. I mean Jamie Vardy, of course, but he doesn't want
Jamie
to probably.
Vardy's
I don't know what he
leaving.
wants to do. For me, Floriani Mussolini can sit on a bench somewhere as well.
Totally.
If I were him, honestly, I would go and do a season in Serie B. Another season in Serie B, why not?
Maybe.
You know?
I mean, Warren Bondo will return back to Milan. That was the oddest signing in Milan history, I think. Paiero, yes. I think Paiero stays in Serie A.
Not as an important
Paiero was with Udinese, right? Playing behind the striker. Yeah, I like Paiero. Paiero is good.
There are some guys, to be honest, man, their team, again.
They have a good team. That's why I picked them to stay up initially. Sanabria, Baschirotto, Ceccherini.
They brought in a lot of experience. Precisely.
At the same time, there was the Lecce game going on, right, brother?
Indeed. And it's the game that saw Lecce confirm 4 consecutive Serie A survivals in a row. And Eusebio Di Francesco said 2 consecutive relegations with Frosinone and Venezia, and I can finally breathe. You can imagine how stressed out he was. It was Falcone in goal for Lecce in their 4-2-3-1 formation, with Vega and Gallo as the fullbacks, Gabriel and Siebert at the back, with Ngom and Ramadani as the double pivot, Banda on the left, Pierotti on the right, with Koulibaly playing behind Walid Khedira. For Genoa, it was Andrew Tate in goal in their 3-5-1-1 formation. Zatterstrom, Ottawa and Marcandalli were at the back, with Sabelli and Martin as the wing backs, with Frendrup, Amorin and Mazzini in the middle, Ellertson playing behind Lorenzo Colombo.
Whose friend group?
They dedicated this match to Graziano Fiorita. Do you remember Graziano Fiorita, the guy who the physiotherapist of Lecce, who died earlier this season? So there was this emotional opening before the game, and it was Banda who was the hero yet again, bro. Banda, the season starts and you're wondering where the hell is Banda. Then Matchday 27 happens and he starts to appear. Out of the shadows, and he starts
all 4 feet of him.
Yeah, all 5'2" of him. He's electric, man, and he was the hero again. In 6th minute, it was Walid Khedira once again who displayed great ball control to keep the action alive after a long ball came to him, and his shot was saved by Leali, but it was Banda who reacted quickest to the rebound. He took on one man, he moved all the way to the right and shot it into the the roof of the net, sorry. It was an earlier assist from Pierotti. Pierotti played that ball. He had a very good game, Pierotti.
Yeah.
Another one who really gets going when the season gets tough. That early goal settled the nerves and gave Lecce something to defend, and Lecce loved to defend, and Banda had 2 more chances to double the lead. After that, he was denied by Leali at the near post and then by a spectacular fingertip save. He was superb, man, throughout, and he was the catalyst for this.
Banda.
Oh, sorry. Banda. He was absolutely sensational. Leali, in fact, denied him twice. Genoa had a goal disallowed 5 minutes before the break, as Frendrup had the ball into the net, but it was Colombo who was offside in the build-up. It was a crucial call, and then Khedira and Pierotti both hit the posts as Lecce came close to doubling their lead. The mood completely shifted when the stadium, when the news came through that Cremonese were getting absolutely destroyed, and it became a party from then on. And the celebrations actually started way before the final whistle. Bro, massive. They survived. They did it. We were worried. We were so worried.
We were worried because I fuck with having southern teams in the league, and Sicilian teams in the league, and not just to have the north absolutely dominating it as they typically have in the history of Serie A. And Lecce is one of those teams with character. Like, with all due respect to clubs that I love, like Sassuolo, I adore a southern underdog team that pack a stadium every single time. And you look at the kind of atmosphere in the pitch, you see how much it means to the players. There was the storyline of Di Francesco as well, who had a huge fall from grace from his coaching Roma days. So this just had one too many storylines. The fact that obviously for us there's Camarda at Lecce, even though you kind of wouldn't realise. But wow, what a season it was for Lecce, because then you can kind of look back and admire the season that they had. And there was actually was a slight improvement from last season, because I believe last season they survived when getting like 32 points. Let me just...
I'm not sure about the number, but it was again a last gasp. It was even more dramatic than this one. Yeah. Of course, against Lazio.
Yeah, so in the 2024-2025 season, Lecce got 34 points exactly, and this season they got 38 points. So it is technically
Cremonese got relegated with 34 this year. So the quality has improved.
Last year it was Empoli that got relegated with 31, Venezia 29, Monza 18.
Yeah. I'm very happy that they can stay on. They are a beautiful team with a lovely fan base, a lovely stadium. I'm happy for them, and they deserve it, man. They really got their shit together towards the end of the season.
100%, man. 100%.
Their team makes some smart signings, and their scouting department is actually pretty good. In fact, they have a few notable names over here that if I had to look at them at the start of the season, I'd be like, who are these people?
Yeah.
Gabriel and Siebert made a formidable duo for the majority of the season.
Totally, especially Gabriel. Gabriel is fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. Kedira was a snipe, man. Bringing him in, very clever deal.
Pierotti, I really enjoyed Pierotti, especially towards latter stages of the season, and not to mention that they've had, for example, Sotil out for a while.
Yeah.
And Sotil, I'm no huge fan of Sotil, who was even at Milan last season. But for a club like Lecce, he's one of those guys with a bit of spark, that can take his man on and whip in at Diatti.
Absolutely. One of the misses in their market was Stulic, but he ended up actually scoring an extremely important goal.
These
in the
are all
last one.
heroes at the end.
They are. And then the spine and the soul of this team for me is Ramadani. And I'm thinking of getting a
Ramadani
tattoo.
tattoo?
A Ramadani tattoo on my neck, yes. and a band on my heart. I want to get a Lecce kit, and I'm wondering which player represents these 4 seasons for Lecce best.
Oh, these 4 seasons, Ramadani,
It's Ramadani,
Or
probably. Banda's a good one, bro, to be honest with you. Gallo has been there for a
but he
while,
looks
really.
concerned.
He does, he looks really worried.
He looks really worried all the time.
Pierotti's a good one as well, huh?
Pierotti is also a good one.
Or Falcone, dude. Falcone.
But you'd have to go for a goalkeeper shirt.
I have never in my life bought a goalkeeping shirt.
You bought me a goalkeeper shirt.
Yes.
Guillermo Ochoa for Salernitana. And I love it.
Sick kit,
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Bro, not much to dwell on apart from Lecce's fantastic survival, and I'm so happy we get to cover them again. Genoa, of course, had nothing to play for, and Lecce were just too determined and focused on the task, and they played really well, and they continued pressing, and they gave them hell until the end.
Yes, sir.
They surrendered the ball completely. In fact, Genoa had 68% ball possession, but only had 8 shots. Let me tell you exactly how many of those were on target. 1 shot on target Genoa were reduced to. So they did it effectively, Lecce.
Yeah. Great save, Falcone.
Absolutely.
Where did they end in the league, brother?
Yes, Lecce in 17th with 38 points, while Genoa finished as low as 16th with 41 points.
Well, the fact that they lost their last 2 games of the season would have pushed them down a few. You see Fiorentina up in 15th,
Yeah, they
Cagliari
would have
up
been-
in
they would have
14th,
been
Parma up in 13th.
Yeah.
Come on, guys, really turned it around. So just so you know, we're 1 hour 45 in because Tyson messaged me. Now, since we've covered the 5 matches that, were the most pivotal, we're just gonna go through the remaining 5 games, and then at the end we will be reacting to our predictions of last season and also announcing which one of us won the prediction series this year, because it's something that I repressed at the start. Let's start with Bologna 3, Inter 3, an end of season fixture that has hurt Inter twice before, but it was insignificant this season. Inter have won the league with 87 points. With both teams' final position confirmed, this was all about entertainment, and they delivered 6 goals. Di Marco opened with a beautiful free kick in the 22nd minute. Bologna turned it around through Bernardeschi in the 24th, and then Pobega in the 42nd with a huge deflected volley. Bernardeschi's was actually quite a cute finish. After the restart, a Zielinski own goal made it 3-1 to Bologna. Inter then staged a famous comeback. Esposito pulled one back in the 63rd, and with Kivo having already withdrawn Lautaro, Barella and Di Marco, substitute Luka Topalovic set up Diouf for a thundering equaliser at the 86th minute. Diouf's first Serie A goal, a fitting, joyful end to the Scudetto season, and the Dallara gave a standing ovation to the champions. I'll just make one comment. I really enjoyed Diouf in this game.
Bro, where has he been?
I mean, he's been coming on in centre midfield. I don't know if that's his position.
No, he's been playing lately as a wing back, and I think he's looked good. Huh?
Because Dumfries has made it clear in the past that he kind of wants to move on and try out other things. There's Barca interested, etc.
Premier League, maybe. I imagine Denzel in the Premier League. God bless you, and
you.
God bless the USA.
Come to Forest. I'm also a Forest. I'm not a Forest fan, but my dad is, or whatever. So yep, that was the Bologna Inter game, bro.
Very good. The next one that we have over here is Napoli 1, Udinese 0. This one's for Tyson, the Duvan Zapata derby. For some reason, that really is a fact that sits in the front of my mind. Probably because I play a lot of footy tic-tac-toe. So I always have these associations between teams, like players have played for me for years. The big news surrounding this game was that it was Antonio Conte's final match as Napoli coach, bowing out with a win and Champions League qualification already secured. It was a fitting send-off, to be honest, but it was not without drama. In fact, it was Alisson Santos was the first casualty as he pulled up with a thigh injury within 10 minutes of an Okoye save that denied him. De Bruyne came on as his replacement. Then De Bruyne immediately made his mark with an assist, a perfectly weighted through ball for Højlund, who slid in from 8 yards to finish for the only goal. Lobotka limped off injured. There were more injury headaches for Napoli's medical staff as the season ended, and this just has been a theme. Cabasele was another protagonist this match, but for the wrong reasons, as he wrestled Højlund to the ground and kicked out after the ball had gone. He was initially showed a yellow, but VAR upgraded it to a red card in the 64th minute. With 10 men, Udinese came closest through a gay corner that was cleared off the line. At the other end, McTominay ballooned over from 6 yards, and after Højlund's brilliant cutback, this was the clearest opportunity to double their lead.
I just want to ask you real quick, where is the gay corner?
It was it was cleared off the line, the gay corner. Bro, this was a fitting send-off for Conte. And have you seen the interview with both ADL, De Laurentiis of course, and Conte sat down?
Of course.
You've seen
and
it, his phone.
It's
hilarious.
It's bro.
Hilarious.
His phone keeps going off. He keeps turning it off, handing it to him, handing it to her. And at a point he goes, no, because I mean, if we didn't have all these injuries, we would have won the Scudetto. And Conte goes, wait, man. Give your respect to Inter, as in Inter won the league. They did so convincingly.
But isn't that
hilarious? How could you say that we would that we would win the league if we had no injuries? And they're having this back and forth, which is I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because they didn't fucking filter themselves, and everyone knew that ADL and Conte was gonna be a turbulent relationship, but their characters clashed in such a respectful way. Like Conte respectfully disagreed with him. Nothing wrong with that.
But Conte, I think, disagrees with him at this point for the sake of disagreeing with him. Because what has Conte been bitching about all season? The injuries. And how they can't get the best out of it.
But then Conte has respect and whatever, so he wouldn't lose the league and blame the injuries, he blames the management every single time when he leaves. And in fact, at one point they had a back and forth when they were talking about Ancelotti, and Conte said basically, Ancelotti's not here, I'm here now. It's really funny. I recommend you see it, guys. It's hilarious. It's really good. And of course, the biggest news now we're just reading is that there are talks being held with Italiano. And I mean, it makes sense. Italiano will fit Napoli like a glove. A bit more similar to like the Spallettis of the world that they had before. But I think it's a really good fit. I think it is a step that, even though Italiano has struggled with Bologna this season, it's a step that he deserves anyway. It is a step that he deserves.
Indeed, bro. Indeed, he has done great things, Italiano. Even though
Conte has set him up nicely with the players that he brought in, and the demands that he made to ADL before he left. And he made it clear, when I leave Napoli, they're going to be in good hands. Something that Conte has been criticised before.
Yes.
And
I'm very curious to see Italiano with the best team he's ever had. Right. That's what's going to happen now. Right. That's always exciting. Huh?
Right.
That's when you get a manager.
The defense is going to be. No. Amazing. Good stuff. Shall we move?
Yes.
Fiorentina, Atalanta, both teams, nothing to play for. I guess with Fiorentina, they kind of always have something to play for because they want to distance themselves as much as possible from that. They were so close to getting relegated this season. Both managers rotated heavily. Atalanta dominated possession with 60%, and they had 21 shots to Fiorentina's 11, but they were thwarted by stand-in goalkeeper Christensen, who had such a great performance, and he did make some great saves on Samardzic twice inside 20 minutes. Fiorentina took the lead against the run of play in the 39th minute through Piccoli, whose shot at the near post just went through. Sportiello. It was embarrassing, to be honest.
Yeah, really bad goal.
Atalanta then equalized in the 82nd minute via Comuzzo own goal after Fiorentina's defender tried to intercept. And you know what? unlucky, dude. I scored an own goal like that 2 weeks ago on a 5-a-side, and you know, I was the only one tracking back, and then the cross came. It hit me.
That's what he went.
It fucking hit me. What can I do? Yeah. The Frankie booed loudly at the end. This is Fiorentina's worst league placing since 2019. I remember that season so
Since
clearly.
2019, that's not even that
I
long.
know. That's why they had Ribéry. You remember that shit?
I thought you were going to say something way older. Since 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Atalanta finished 7th regardless, and the fans applauded. The fans applauded Vanoli. So I think it's no secret that Vanoli won't be staying on at Fiorentina. I think Fiorentina have greater ambitions than Vanoli. We'll wait to see any developments happening over there. For Atalanta, huge developments. They started the season with Juric, gave him the sack, brought in Palladino, and they actually did great under Palladino. They did well in the Champions League, aside from what they let Bayern Munich do to them. Allegedly, they let them. But they got to 7th. It was a great turnaround, and they were playing great football, and they got the best out of players that were, circumcised under Juric. I'm spitting, huh?
You're spitting bars, bro. Circumcised players.
But Palladino has now left because they brought in a new sporting director with a different vision, and they have confirmed. I'm not mad about this. They have confirmed Sarri as coach.
How can you be mad about this?
How about cute Maurizio? Maurizio, how cute he is. His style suits Atalanta, and the fact that there's such a well-run club, and hopefully this sporting director, does as great a job as the one before him, feeds Sarri with these kind of players that he needs. To get that kind of midfielder that he needs to, to resist pressure and to get that Ruben Loftus-Cheek mold, Sergei Milinkovic-Savic mold. He's going
to be like a kid in a candy store, bro, because he's just come off an environment that would not give him a cent.
Nope.
They just wouldn't give him anything, and they would actually just take nothing. And now he's going to go to a place where the manager's needs are priority.
Yeah, and he just has a good team. He has a team that he can work with. He has the likes of De Ketelare, he has the likes of Scamacca.
Of course.
Their own.
Spoiled for choice. Yeah, I mean,
he has plenty of good
he'll need a metronome in midfield, I think. I think that's something that they need to prioritize.
Their own
I see him more, not as much as a 6.
I guess you don't.
You know what I mean?
More
like someone who can ping them, or someone who's a little bit press resistant.
Yeah.
Let's
move, baby.
Speaking of Lazio, they hosted Pisa and they won 2-1, and it was bittersweet, to be honest, because the Olimpico was once again noticeably empty. Of course, the fans continuing their protests over Lotito. That's why Sarri is going to be like a kid in a candy shop, leaving this environment. And it was Pedro's final appearance in that Lazio shirt. Pisa took a surprise lead through Stefano Moreo's free header from 6 yards, with Abusher's cross doing the damage after Belayan was robbed in midfield. Very good, Belayan, you get your chance, and this is what you do, man. Lazio leveled when Belayan made amends. This time he destroyed his man down the left side and rolled the ball across to Delabashiru, who did the Anthony twirl and then finished into the bottom corner. Then Pedro, of course, took center stage. He had a precise left-footed curler from out of the box into the far bottom corner that gave Lazio the lead, and the veteran Spaniard the perfect send-off. He then sent Noslin through for what could have been a third, but Semper saved it at the near post before receiving a standing ovation when substituted. Of course, Pedro, not Semper. Pisa and rock bottom, brother, and Lazio, this is a season that they'd want to forget as they finish in 9th, probably punching above there.
Breaking news! Well, of course, Sarri going to Atalanta, Lazio needed a manager, and it was done immediately. Gattuso
has never taken an attractive job. Never.
Straight up, bro.
Gattuso, if there is a fire, Gattuso walks in.
And you know what?
And he doesn't have an extinguisher.
I think people that are hiring the Gattuso just have this because he's tough.
He's tough.
Because he's tough. You know, if he was Pirlo, they wouldn't put him in a tough situation. But he's tough.
He's tough, eh? You know, the Italian national team. We need to qualify for the World Cup because we're potentially gonna miss the third one. Gattuso, he's tough.
But I think it's another weird call by Lotito, to be honest.
I think Gattuso's an underrated manager, and I think the fact that the environment has always been so unfavourable for him to perform. I think
that's true. At
Milan, I liked what I saw.
At Milan,
his earlier gigs.
Before Milan won the league with Pioli, the guy to take Milan out of the banter era was Gattuso.
Yeah,
and then Milan were put back into the banter era by Gianpaolo for those 2 months, and then Pioli came in and saved them. But Gattuso was the one that got Milan to 5th, and he got sacked for getting Milan to 5th.
And then he got Napoli 1 point off of Champions League. He's been unlucky as well. Madonna.
Crazy.
Yes, so good luck, Gennaro.
Come on, Gennaro.
Pisa, bro. Any players you'd keep from in Serie A from Pisa?
No.
No, not.
Show me the starting 11.
Not even fucking San Miro.
Fucking San Miro will stay because he's on loan from Inter.
Yes.
Fucking San Siro.
So we have Stojkovic, Moreo, Angori, Vural, like in San Miro. Bashir can stay.
Bashir.
Larry's not a big fan. Maybe no, man. Madonna. Honestly, I don't think any of these guys cut it in Serie A.
No.
That's mental.
Now maybe I didn't watch them intently enough. Maybe.
I mean, Akin Samiro stands out, and at the back you have like Cannistrelli, who's fine, and Caracciolo. And
they suck. The center backs suck. Like, I don't think so. Parma won Sassuolo. They suck, bro. Parma 1, Sassuolo 0. Speaking of managers, just to give a shout out to these two managers, man. Wow, this season. Wow.
The rising managers of the year.
Rising managers.
Kivu as well. Them two and Kivu.
Yes. And De Rossi, to be fair. An uneventful mid-table affair. Parma won thanks to a single goal, with the only meaningful chance of the game to end their season on 45 points. Both teams were safely mid-table with nothing at stake. Neither coach fielded their strongest 11. The game was played in a low-tempo, low-intensity manner that reflected the end-of-season fatigue or chillness. Parma's survival, which looked uncertain at times this season, feels like a solid achievement given their resources. I didn't write who scored, man. Sassuolo returning from
Pellegrino.
Serie B,
Pellegrino
finished 11th in their first season back. A promising return. It was in fact Pellegrino who scored the goal. I'll just give you the minute, so I gave you a bit of a play-by-play as well. It was
this 80th.
It was in the 80th minute. Well done,
bro.
Pellegrino.
Listen to this, man. Sassuolo in their last 5 games have 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 victory. So they drew to Fiorentina. They lost to Torino. They lost to Lecce. They lost to Parma. And they beat Milan.
Yep. What can I say, bro? What can I say about that?
What can I say? It's better to burn out than to fade away. Am I right, Max?
I'm the only one. I'll miss Max because I like him. But anyway, we had this conversation.
Yeah.
You have another game?
I do not.
You do not have another game.
So we can.
Das ist fantastisch for all our German listeners.
We have our predictions to react
We have
to.
our predictions.
Do you have a screeny of them?
I do have a screeny of them. Let me just make sure that is in the correct order. However, yes. So, okay, let's do that immediately, as Patreon Corner would typically come next. So we are about to react to our own predictions now. Just to be clear, these were made just before Matchday 1. So the transfer market wasn't closed yet. And yeah, that's pretty much it. We also had 0 tape on any of the teams whatsoever.
Exactly.
Let me, before you say, but what a ridiculous call for 2 people with podcasts. Do you think you're good? But yeah,
this was a bloody tough one to predict this season, and there was the managerial changes were extremely wild as well. It
Yeah.
was like everyone swapping managers. So we both said Napoli to win it, interestingly enough. Probably, I mean, they had that team and they solidified the team and they brought in a decent bench.
We did
Fair
think
enough.
Inter were going to get significantly weaker as well because they brought in Kivu.
And Kivu blew everyone away. I mean, no one expected Kivu to perform as well as he did.
Actually, our top two is totally similar.
Mhm.
Napoli first, Milan
Milan
second.
second,
Why did you put Milan so high there?
I put Milan high because they had, they brought in Allegri, who's done it before. I knew that Milan were playing once a week, and I thought that was going to be a massive advantage. But then you could see some kind of cracks and chinks in the armor as the season started going. Even the fact that it's a 19-man squad.
To be fair to us, Milan were second for the majority of the season. It all came crumbling down at the end.
Exactly.
I
guess they were mentally tougher, man.
Yep.
Juve in third.
Yeah, Juve in third. I had Inter in third. Let's just complete this. You then had Inter in fourth, and I had Roma in fourth.
Ooh, so you guessed Roma Champions League. That's wild.
I guessed Roma Champions League.
And
I then
Juve
said
out of it.
Juve in fifth, Fiorentina in sixth. You said Roma in fifth and Lazio.
Yes, I had hope. I knew that they had the transfer ban, Lazio, but I'm a really big Sarri fan, and I thought that they could do better, to be honest with you. But the fact that the ownership decided to sell half the team halfway through the season didn't help at all.
You can't really foresee that.
Yeah.
I put Juve just outside because I didn't have faith in Tudor. I put Roma in fourth because I had faith in Gasperini. Fiorentina, I'm not going to lie, I did genuinely, I'm going to be honest. I never thought Fiorentina were going to end that high, but the logic and the love and the bias of Pioli made me say, you know what, he's one of the few managers that won the league. There has to be some kind of influence. Fiorentina finished sixth last season as well, so he could at least finish where they finished last season.
Yeah, exactly.
In seventh, you had Bologna, had Atalanta. Bang!
Nice, bro.
Bang on, bitch.
I thought Bologna would do better, to be honest with you. But again, to be honest, they keep selling the pieces. And I had Atalanta way lower because of Juric, but thankfully they sacked them immediately.
Yeah. I thought Atalanta, despite the whole Juric thing, I thought that this is far too good a team to fumble lower than seventh, Even the fact that they had Lookman for the first half of the season. I remember he was the main guy I was thinking of. They still have Lookman, I was saying. Then let's just run 8th to 10th, and then you had Fiorentina in 8th, Como in 9th, Atalanta in 10th. I had Como in 8th, Bologna in 9th, Lazio in 10th. That's quite good. The Bologna Lazio just need to be swapped around.
You did pretty well,
for
bro.
me. I did okay.
Interestingly enough, when we work our way down, because this is a little bit less relevant now, we can go to the relegation pool. We guessed correctly Lecce. We both said Lecce relegated.
I said Lecce last.
You said Lecce last because they were one of the teams that didn't strengthen, and the owner often talks about how it's not a priority to be in Serie A every single season because sustainability-wise, it's actually worth it financially to get relegated every now and then.
And they lost Kerstovic, and they brought in a 16-year-old striker to replace him. Was the thing at the time.
But they survived. And you also said Parma to get relegated.
Yeah, I didn't have too much faith in the manager's name.
Cuesta.
I didn't have too much faith in Cuesta, and also Parma really didn't strengthen. So I thought, of course you're not gonna have faith in a 29-year-old manager, but I'm really glad he proved me wrong because what a talent he's developed to be. They had Pisa, which is correctly in 19th place. You had Pisa last, Lecce in 19th, and then Cremonese in 18th. So you got one bang on over there as well. You got two.
Yeah.
You guessed two to get relegated.
I was quite surprised at Hellas Verona's poor season, to be honest with you, man.
Same, man, and they looked decent at the start of the
They
season.
did.
They weren't winning games, but they had Joe Vane and
Orban
and Orban that were doing
yeah,
bits
yeah.
up front.
And even at the back, they were solid at the back. It's weird.
Man. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's that.
That's that.
Also, let's give Alan his flowers, of course, for the fantasy football. He is the fantasy football champion. He has made history. Alan, you're the man.
My guy. We should have gotten a statement from him. We'll get it in the next episode. But I just love the mic drop of Alan. Alan's team name, you all know it by now. It's
Catenaccio
Maxi.
Yeah.
And he's maintained that for the entire season, apart from when he was crowned champion. He changed that to Gabbia Home Kit, thanks. I love that. Alan is one of the few non-Maltese patrons we've had the pleasure of meeting when he was down in Malta. And we certainly hope to get the pleasure of seeing Alan again. He's an absolute day one. And
He is. I think he was
he really
the second or the third patron we've ever had, something like that.
I remember, before I knew who Alan was, him writing about us on Reddit, ranking us with the best. It was his favorite Serie A podcast.
It was the first time I saw our podcast name somewhere. Mentioned somewhere. It was Alan who wrote about it.
More.
You're the best, Al.
You're the best, Al. We love you.
Really.
We hope the family is doing well. Yes, congratulations to Alan. And congratulations to Jake, because he has won our yearly prediction series. As a result, he gets absolutely nothing but this. Well done, bro.
Thank you.
It finished 9-8 because we drew our last two of the season.
Because I played Cortomuso.
Next season, we'll think of a way how to make this more gripping and how to put a prize on the line or something, just not a kit.
Yes, and maybe we can have like a little bar at the top with a scoreboard at the top of the pod.
And we said that we'd do it instead of doing it like you won this week, I won this week. We'll do it like if this week I guessed 7 and next week I guessed 3, my bar should be on 10. So like that, it's who guesses the most outcomes throughout the entire season. Damn!
That's good, bro.
Anyway, guys, we won't keep you much longer. What a fun episode this was, brother.
Yes, the next one's going to be our favorite episode to record every single season. Tops, flops, unsung heroes.
And our Serie A team best 11. If you guys have anything you want to see from us in the summer period, while the World Cup is going on, certain segments that you want to see from us, some episodes you want to see from us, we're always listening and always to figure out like good ideas for that. We'll have some things planned. Of course, we have the tops, flops and unsung heroes. We want to take you guys through the Serie B and the newly promoted teams. Well, the playoffs rather. We'll then do a Meet the Boys segment closer to when the season is starting. Throughout the World Cup, are we going to be doing World Cup content? Are we going to be doing interviews, other content, whatever? We have some plans, but if you want to see anything, please do let us know. Just drop us a DM. But we'll catch you all next week. Same time, same place. We've been Serie A Spotlight. What a pleasure this season has been. We love you
very
all.
much. See you next week.
Yeah. Ciao.
If you like Serie A or have ever liked it in the past, it's a good opportunity for you to listen once a week and you'll get filled in.
In the football weekend, that's like the main dish. But then a few days later, you drop your episode and that's like the dessert. And the dessert is just perfect.
It's good, the cake.
It makes it feel like we're all sitting in a room together, just BSing with each other.
The atmosphere is fantastic.
I promise nobody will ask you to send boob pics.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I love how you go into so much detail and show so much passion towards each and every team. Literally, no team is left undiscussed.
When I listen to you, it's like I'm talking to you in a pub. It's like I'm chatting to a friend and you're chatting to me.